COVID-19 in South Korea has not been making headlines recently, but the number of daily cases continues to reach notable levels. On Thursday, there were over 65,000 confirmed infections, up 8,000 from a week ago. While cases remain high, with people in the country becoming tired of the prevention measures, a discussion on whether to get rid of indoor mask mandates has begun. To discuss the latest, we bring in Professor Howard Lee from Seoul National University Department of Molecular Medicine and Biopharmaceutical Sciences. Always good to see you, Professor.
Thank you very much, and good morning.
Well, indoor masking has become a hot topic, with certain
Yes.
local governments talking about letting the public themselves decide whether or not to wear masks indoors. The national government is adamant that it's too soon. What's your take on it, especially as more questions about the effectiveness of masks are asked?
Well, that's a million-dollar question. I'm not in favor of indiscriminate indoor face mask mandate this moment. Mask wearing has been politicized during the pandemic, which does not make any sense. Mask is a tool, and it has been shown to be effective to prevent many respiratory infections from being transmitted. However, at the same time, we have to take into account the real-world effectiveness of indoor mask wearing, which depends heavily on the type of masks and how we use them. In addition, there are other factors that may affect the utility of masks, most of which we cannot control over. For example, the crowdedness of the room, air circulation and ventilation, all could influence the final effectiveness of indoor mask wearing. There are other points that we have to consider. Pandemic fatigue is one of them. The worst of the pandemic seems to be behind us. High vaccination rate and the wide availability of anti-COVID-19 treatments are another point that makes the situation different than what we used to be a year ago. So I propose to lift the unanimous indoor face mask mandate. Of course, we can approach this in a stepwise manner. For example, public transportations and hospitals can be an exception to this scrapping. All in all, everyone who has concern about possible transmission will still wear a mask indoors and outdoors altogether. So it is okay to leave that kind of decision to people.
Right. It's up to, like you said, it could be up to people soon. Now, I want to talk about the severity of the infection, as people will have more choices. What kind of symptoms are those recently infected with COVID-19 reporting, and are infections less severe for most patients than the original COVID-19?
Yeah, half the cases in the United States are now due to two descendants of BA.5 called BQ1 and BQ1.1. However, these two new variants are not still the major driver in Korea yet. That being said, not much is known about those two variants, but the severity and duration of the disease seem similar to other Omicrons and absolutely milder than the original and Delta variants. The symptoms of BQ1 and BQ1.1 appear to be the same as for other Omicron COVID-19 variants. The most common symptoms include exhaustion, fever, cough, congestion, shortness of breath, sore throat, nausea, diarrhea, and muscle aches or headaches. However, loss of smell, which originally characterized COVID-19 infections, is no longer as common.
Right. And I just want to move our focus to our neighboring country, China, for a bit. It just removed its zero COVID-19 policies. Will there be a massive outbreak there, as many experts are saying?
As you said, China has recently lifted its draconian anti-COVID-19 measures, which came after unprecedented protests by people in many places all over China. The problem is China has to pay a huge price of procrastinating or delaying, while other countries were transitioning from the worst to bad to not that bad stage during the pandemic. What makes the prospect uglier is the fact that China is not as prepared for the surge in cases. According to many reliable sources, China has fallen short of readiness, such as increasing vaccination rate in the elderly, and those who are vulnerable to serious disease and death, securing hospital beds and intensive care capacity, and last but not the least, stockpiling antiviral medications. The timing is also very bad by relaxing much of its previous measures during the winter, where flu and other respiratory infections can overlap. This can put them at risk of being put into twin or tridemic. In other words, the lift was not planned and it was haphazard, which makes the situation much gloomier. Relatively low vaccination rate, including booster, in the elderly in China also contributes to the outlook, the dark overlook. Additionally, I have to point out that the inactivated vaccines used in China are less antibody generating, meaning it's not as protective as the messenger RNA vaccines that the other advanced countries have used. All of these add to bleak winter for China.
Right. Well, thank you so much for your insights. We always depend on you for your insights on COVID-19.
Thank you.
I hope you have a great day, Professor.
You too, sir.